Okay, Chapter 7, Cost, Volume, Profit Analysis, Part 2, Break-Even Points and Target Volumes. Okay, in this presentation, I'm going to review using CVP analysis to find break-even points and target volumes. I guess that's why I named it that, huh? Now, the break-even is the sales level at which operating income is zero. Okay? Operating income is zero. That is break even. So total revenues equal total expenses. Another sneaky thing to think in here, this is when the contribution margin is equal to total fixed cost, right? Okay, I want you to think about that one a little bit and make sure that that you're clear on it, that you understand it, because that's a really handy thing to know. If the sales are below break even, we'll have a loss. And if sales are above the break-even point, we'll make a profit. And we've got 3 different approaches to calculating this. I generally use the same one all the time, unless I don't have the data to do it, and then I'll use a different one. It depends on the problem, you know. So here's one with, this is a break-even point, and this is the income statement approach. And what drives me absolutely crazy is the sideways way that they present this, and this is what's in the book, so this is how I'm going to do it. Personally, I would do it up and down, all right? And if you look at any of the problems that I do, that's how it'll be. But what we're doing, the concept is to take your sales revenue, that's total sales revenue, minus variable costs, minus fixed expenses, is operating income. Okay, so that if we did this in the example that we had a selling price per unit of $35 minus $21 variable cost per unit times units sold minus your fixed expenses. Okay, what we're looking for here is break even, so operating income would be 0. So $14 times units sold, here's the reduced formula, is 7,000. I can take 7,000 divided by 14 and get 500 posters. Okay, so Kay will break even when she sells 500 posters. Okay, I went kind of fast there. You're good with that? Okay. Now this one I think is just like the last line in the formula that we looked at. This is using the contribution margin. So if I say that my contribution margin, which is sales revenue minus fixed expenses is operating income. Okay, so the contribution margin is equal to fixed expenses plus operating income. Okay, if you were going to derive the formula, that's how you get it. So the contribution margin per unit times units sold would be equal to fixed expenses plus operating income. Okay? All right. So the formula, though, that you want to use is that the sales in units would be equal to fixed expenses plus operating income, my total fixed costs. Okay, everything I have to cover. This would be at break even at 0, but if you've got a target income, you'd put a dollar amount in there, and we'll divide that by the contribution margin per unit. So K's break even is $7,000 in fixed cost plus 0. Okay, at break even, that's the important part. Okay, break even by definition means that there's no target profit. Okay, break even is 0. Divided by 14 is 500 posters. Okay, so at break even, sales in units are equal to your fixed cost divided by your contribution margin. Now here's another way, is by using the contribution margin ratio. Now remember when I did this right here, this is your contribution margin ratio. So it's the contribution margin divided by sales, okay? Our contribution margin ratio here is 40%. Okay. So, I lost my spot here. That's where we were. Oh yeah, this is using the contribution margin ratio. So if the sales in dollars, okay, before we looked at sales in units, right? This was sales in units. We divide it by the contribution margin per unit. To get sales in dollars, we divide it by the contribution margin ratio. Okay, so it's basically the same formula. Instead of the contribution margin here, we've got the contribution margin ratio. So sales in dollars are our fixed cost. It's at break even, okay, so you don't have any target profit. It would be zero. 7,000 divided by 40%. Sales in dollars to break even, 17,500. Okay, you've got to do a lot of little problems here. The ones in my lab will be helpful to reinforce this, but it should be like really go right into your head and be nice and clean in there and not have any problems. So here's an example. Here's how many posters does Kay need to sell to earn a $4,900 profit? And what this is what we call a target profit. Okay, that's how much we want to earn in operating income. So we'll take our fixed costs plus the operating income divided by our contribution margin per unit. She's got to sell 850 posters. Okay, now if we wanted to know what the sales had to be in dollars, we would divide that by the contribution margin ratio. Okay, so fixed expenses plus operating income divided by the contribution margin ratio gives us 29,750 in sales. Okay, all right, this is really handy stuff. I don't know how many businesses, especially small business, really use this. You know, when you're big, it gets more complicated, but it's such good information. So here's our same question. How many posters does Kay need to sell to earn $4,900 in profit? Now, using the income statement approach, that would be $35 minus 21 is 14 times units sold is 11,900. Okay, and that would be the 7,000 plus the 4,900. This is just, rearranging the formula. The units sold would be 850 posters, or 11,900 divided by the 14. Okay. So the last thing we'll take a look at in this piece is graphing CVP relationships. Okay, and they've got a bunch of steps here for you to use. Let's take a look at the chart. This is a good chart, and there's nothing like a visual to show people what you're really talking about. So what we've got here from zero, this red line from 0 to wherever it goes up to say about 37,000 in sales, something like that, is our sales. Okay, that's our sales line. It starts at 0 and it's so much per unit, and it goes up to within some kind of a range. These are my fixed costs. So fixed costs stay flat, and there's my fixed costs that go across right here, and then my variable cost starts right on top of the fixed and goes up. Okay, so much per unit, it's a straight line. So at the point where my variable plus my fixed costs intersect, that's my break-even point. Okay, alrighty. So this is pretty nice. This is all profit here, and this is loss, an operating loss here. But the way to remember it is there are your sales, start at 0 and up, then your fixed cost, and then start with your variable costs on top of the fixed and draw another line. Whoops, there. Okay, the blue line. Okay,